Throughout my art journey, which is basically my entire life, I've dedicated years to refining my skills in drawing animals. Starting from a modest skill level, as seen in example number 1, I progressed to a more refined style, showcased in example number 2. Over these years, I've gathered a set of techniques and strategies that have been useful in achieving a more realistic style of animals. The main focus of today's video is all about sharing my 5 personal tips that have significantly helped my growth in my artistic abilities. For fellow animal artists seeking to improve their craft, I hope these tips give you at least some helpful insight. Tip number 1. Discovering shapes within anatomy. This advice might sound like an overused tip, even when it comes to sketching people. Truthfully though, I think it's the most helpful. If you don't know what this means, let me explain. Discovering shapes within anatomy involves dissecting the animal's structure into identifiable shapes. It's essentially about simplifying complex forms into more manageable and recognizable geometric or organic shapes that help understand the underlying structure. When you're drawing, paying attention to these shapes can make a real difference. For most, this technique won't click instantly. It takes some time to get comfortable with the flow and proportions. Proportions and making everything look just right can be a bit tricky, but here's where those shapes step in as your trusty guides. They help bring it all together, no matter if you're sketching a dog, a bird, or a horse. Let's look at an example of a couple leopard sketches made by Joe Weatherly. What's great about Weatherly's technique is that he uses the shapes as a framework to understand how animals are put together, and it still highlights the full structure of the leopard. Overall, nailing the sizes and keeping things in balance can throw you off at first, but trust me, sticking to those natural shapes can really smooth out the process. Even though Weatherly's sketch goes beyond just the basics, delving into muscles and those intricate details, it was still formed from originally sketching out those shapes. You don't have to use this exact example. It's smart to dig into references that break down your animal of choice. Look for those that show how muscles sit, how the body is shaped, and even perspective. However, understanding the real anatomy beyond just shapes can be very beneficial for drawing. Although, personal preferences play a role, and you might not necessarily want an in-depth understanding of every explicit detail of an animal's body. It's a matter of individual artistic approach, so feel free to experiment. Personally, I found the shapes method more useful and got more of a natural understanding of the animal structure. Some artists found it more effective to delve into the specifics of the actual body rather than relying on breaking it down into shapes. Explore what works best for you and what enhances your artistic process. Tip number 2. References. In art, a reference could be a picture, object, or example used as a model or inspiration for a drawing or painting. Sort of mentioned in tip number 1, finding the right reference for art is crucial. While many might naturally seek inspiration from other artists, using references can be a big leap for those who haven't yet explored this. But the key is in finding the right reference. Consider this. How comfortable are you with your art? Are you still a beginner, wanting to practice more? Or do you feel you're transitioning into a more intermediate stage? Selecting a reference that aligns with your skill level can significantly aid improvement. As a beginner, opting for an overly challenging reference might not be the best choice. Instead, aim to find references that match your current skill level. The point is to nourish your drawing skills, not to immediately expect to draw everything like a master. It's also essential not to simply trace an artist's work without understanding their technique. Rather, take inspiration and practice capturing the essence of their style. This is because being from a foundational level in art allows you to explore and discover your preferred approaches to drawing. Mimicking someone else's style precisely doesn't contribute to your growth in finding methods that suit your comfort in drawing. Throughout the drawing process, you'll uncover your own shortcuts and develop your unique groove. The key is to truly experiment and embrace the journey of self-discovery in your artistic expression. Tip number 3. Finding courses. Do you look up to any particular artist or perhaps a YouTuber who's into art? In 2020 to 2021, I was totally hooked on watching artists online, observing their creative process in drawing animals. My top inspiration during that time was 𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓, the creator behind the Art of 𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓 channel. He offers courses on animal drawing and tutorials on his channel, and his detailed tips and instructions on anatomy were a game changer for my own drawing style, adopting some of his techniques. The bottom line is, learning from someone whose art you admire on the internet can greatly influence and improve your own drawing methods. Spending money on courses or resources is totally optional and depends on your preferences. You can still gain valuable knowledge and skills just by watching YouTube tutorials or exploring free resources online. There's a wealth of helpful information out there without having to spend a dime. Tip number 4, stepping out of your comfort zone. This is where I'm really emphasizing to experiment or explore with shapes, style, and to really step out of your comfort zone. From my personal experience, I've been stumping myself from growing because I didn't like practicing different head perspectives. Instead, I kept drawing the same animal with the same perspective. Up until a couple months ago, I really tried experimenting with different poses and animals. While this might sound like a tip too much based on experience, it could be a valuable suggestion for some artists out there. While there's value in practicing the same thing consistently, there comes a point where it's essential to break the routine. For example, drawing a bear. If you repeatedly sketch the bear in the same pose and perspective for weeks or months, you might become proficient in that specific style. However, the next step involves exploring the same animal's movement and appearance from various angles. Try sketching that bear climbing rocks, hunting fish, or even taking a nap. Get out there and find what more you can do when it comes to drawing an animal. Again, this might sound like a personal tip, but the concept of diversifying your approach applies broadly and can prove beneficial in enhancing your artistic skills. Tip number 5, digital art. Digital art is self-explanatory. Artists use computers, tablets, or other digital devices along with specialized software to produce visual art. It allows for endless possibilities in creating illustrations, paintings, designs, and multimedia artworks. For those with access to an iPad or drawing tablet, I highly recommend trying digital art. Even without investing in expensive software like Adobe Photoshop, there are free drawing software options available, although Procreate being a highly recommended choice for only $10. Unlike traditional art, where constant erasing and trial and error are common, digital art makes sketching much easier. If something is disproportionate, instead of erasing, you can effortlessly adjust the size with a click and drag. Even if you're not highly experienced, digital art provides a user-friendly platform to practice sketching, and it provides for all levels of artists. Drawing methods vary for each artist, and you might prefer traditional techniques over digital ones. Transitioning to digital art, especially with tools like Procreate, may feel a bit odd initially, but finding what works best for you is crucial. Digital art is like a drawing hack because it's effortless, yet it allows you to enhance your drawing skills. When drawing animals digitally, working with proportions becomes easier compared to traditional pencil and paper. Personally, I use Procreate for sketching and practicing before moving to paper when I feel more confident in what I'm drawing. Regardless of the method, the key factor is practice. Even if you don't have access to drawing apps, practicing on paper is just as effective. Digital tools simply refine the flaws found in traditional methods. The essence remains: practice consistently and explore your art to improve. Don't get too caught up in stressing over your art or feel disheartened. It's common to wish your art could resemble that of other artists, but your growth relies on your unique approach. Trust me, as you dive into exploring tutorials from various YouTubers, examining references, and venturing into different techniques, you'll witness significant improvements in your animal drawings. Remember, even those who seem naturally gifted had to put in substantial effort to develop their talent. Nobody starts off creating the most realistic artwork right away. It takes practice, dedication, and exploration to reach that level. Keep exploring, learning, and experimenting. It's all part of the journey toward improvement. Overall, I hope this helped. I know this video is different from my usual videos, but it was honestly really fun. Let me know in the comments if you do something different or if something helped you out. Good luck on your art journey, and I'll see you guys in another video. Bye bye!